welcome back. This is another episode of the Empowerful Health Podcast, and today's guest is Nora Johnson. We're going to talk a little bit about a lot of things today. It's a very short podcast, but very to the point. Nora is a mother of 6 and has some pretty cool stories about discovering essential oils and how they impacted her family. And now she's I wouldn't call her an essential oil salesman. I would call her an educator. She's got some great information she's going to share with us. And we're excited to talk with her. As always, my name is Dr. Jeremy Kerrigan. I am the host here of the Empowerful Health Podcast, and Nora and I are going to dive right in. All right, today we're here to welcome Nora Johnson. Nora, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I've known Nora for a while. Nora is the oil lady. She's been working with doTERRA. She's here to tell us a little bit about how her view on health and wellness has changed and tell us a little bit about how doTERRA fits into that. So let's dive in and talk about you. Like, tell me a little bit about your journey, where you began, where you shifted. That's one of the things we're talking about on the podcast is empowering people to take charge of their health. So where was that for you? Where did you start taking charge of your health?
Well, I have to just set you up a little bit about, my family, where I was at the time, and how oils were introduced to me and why I chose to then teach people how to use them. So I am a mom to 6, and my oldest is from a prior marriage. And so when she was a senior in high school, she went through a lot of hard times, depression, mental, just anguish, cutting herself. And so I did the traditional, conventional method of what I knew to do as psychologist, therapy, talk therapy, medicine. And the medicine was not working, actually, in her words, where it's actually making me feel like a zombie. I don't feel anything. And she's a deep filler. She feels deeply. Yeah. So it numbed. And then the other thing she said was, I feel like I have weights on my eyes. And so, long story short, my husband brings home some essential oils and I laughed at him and I thought these are voodoo, weird. What else are they going to think to sell? But when I opened up the book and looked up it opened to frankincense. And since I'm a church going girl, I knew what frankincense was.
Gold, frankincense, myrrh, those types of things.
Exactly. Nice. And then when I read everything that frankincense could do, I was like, why not try this? What else have I got to lose? I've spent so much money and time and we were both frustrated. So I asked my daughter, try this. What have you got to lose, right? And she says, I'll try anything. I'm tired of feeling this way. So 2 weeks went by and I remember exactly where I was when those 2 weeks went by and she came back to me crying. And I thought, oh no, it's not working. But she was actually tears of joy saying, Mom, this is lifting me. So I thought, how many other moms have felt like me? Lost hope, couldn't find answers for your kid, your child that was struggling. And it was a simple use of something natural, from a plant. And I'm like, that opened up my own whole world for myself, my family, and I started sharing. And that's how my world opened up to empower others. And it's been life-changing.
I love that. And that's where most powerful health practitioners come from, right? As they start with personal experience and that feeling you expressed of frustration, it's frustrating when we don't know what to do for our own health, but it's even more so when we're watching someone we love and care about struggle in some way. And I think it's cool. Like, I've met a lot of oil people over the years, especially
crazy oil lady.
Right. In certain communities, or 20 people you go to church with sell some kind of oil. Right. And so I knew fairly shortly after meeting you that you were different. You weren't just someone that's like, oh, I need to make money. Let me do this. And I love you sharing your story because that's where your passion comes, not from doTERRA made me lots of money. It's doTERRA changed your life and your daughter's life and gave her tools she could use and feel like she was more in charge of her own health instead of just a victim to the system that wasn't helping her at that point. So true. Yeah. And it's a really common issue with kids. I got to interview a couple of I shouldn't say teenage, they're 21-year-olds. I keep calling them kids, it makes me seem old, I guess, but they'd lost a brother to suicide, a teenage brother to suicide. And these teenagers are knowing what to do. And if they could have something natural that they could keep in their pocket to help just calm the system down so they can be of their own mind and make better decisions versus just feeling like there's something wrong with them. There's something wrong and broken. And that obviously makes the situation worse. So.
True. Well, I mean, the same thing kind of happened with my now 19-year-old when she was 9. So it's been 10 years. But after I had that experience with my oldest daughter, and I'm like, what else can these do? So my then 9-year-old was failing her spelling words. And if you know my 19-year-old, she does everything over the top.
Perfectionist.
Yes. She's expecting it. She does everything. The teacher said, okay, here's 10 ways to study your spelling words, but she did them all when she only was required 5 times, 5 different things. And so they even after all that, failing 9 out of 20s failing, then the teacher was like, maybe she needs some medicine. I'm like, no, I've got something. Let's try something. So specifically peppermint and wild orange. I put them on a cotton ball and I said, just smell this before the test. I know she's prepared. I know she's just having some test anxiety or just overthinking, whatever it is. Perfections. I'm not one. But I see that in her. And so, forgot about it, right? Because Friday's when they take the test, right?
Right.
And then Monday she comes home running in and says, Mom, I got everyone right except one. And my jaw dropped like, oh yeah. Like what? Really? So then I asked her questions and I said, so Camille, what did you do? Like, did you really smell it before? Cause this is still in I had a great experience with my oldest one. So I was like, do they always work or is this just a fluke thing?
Right.
And
some healthy skepticism there.
Exactly.
Right? Yep.
I just wanted to make sure before I told anybody, right? So asking her questions, the funny part is she was like, Mom, I smelled it like 5 times during the test. So can you imagine I had put in this cotton ball with the oils in a little baggie, zipped it and said, smell it. Can you imagine if you were the teacher and you see this kid going, smelling? But I did warn the teacher. Sure. But after those 2 experiences, I'm like, my heart was just like, you need to share this with people. And then I had purpose and it became my passion. And now this is what I do professionally is for a living. So
I love that. And something like thinking about as you're saying this is we always want like the latest and greatest, like what's the newest thing, but sometimes it's the oldest thing. Frankincense has been used for thousands of years, peppermint oil for thousands of years, these types of old remedies that can help in little situations and just the olfactory. And you know more about this than I do, because you're not just an oil lady, you're an educator in this field.
Yes.
The olfactory sense is one of the most powerful nervous system sections of the body, one of the quickest ways to affect the brain. And so getting some of these old remedies to use for modern purposes, it's really cool the impact that it's making, not just in your family, but outside of that.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about, so this, this shifted you. So oils is one aspect. How has this shifted other ways? As you found these cool tools and oils, how has that shifted other aspects of your personal health, your family health, or professional too?
Well, I worked it and just taught a ton of classes to where, this is something that we do full time. My husband had a choice to come home and work with me. Well, we did a little bit of therapy. That didn't work. So we did more therapy, counseling, and he's had to say, okay, this is not what I do. And it's opened my eyes to the world of what I put on in and on my body affects me. So I like to talk about, come on, especially women, 35 to 50 years old. Like, what are you putting on and in your body?
Right.
Hormone disruptors. And then, because what a woman does emulates into the family, kids, and we create this generational habits of good and bad. So it's opened up so many avenues. My own self-care, my own mental health, realizing some of the trauma that has happened to me young has affected me now. And I don't think I would have opened that door to all of that for my own healing that could be help my own children and grandchildren someday if I hadn't have, said yes to, okay, let's try something different when I thought it was woo-woo. So. And
that's one of the reasons that inspires me in this podcast is that when people start taking charge of their health in one aspect, they realize they can do that in other aspects. And they're not just a victim to, like you said, these generational patterns of maybe, especially in women, tend to beat themselves up a lot, right? I have a mirror over here in my office that patients have to look at. We're doing a posture assessment and they're staring at themselves in the mirror. And I can't tell you how many times I've had to like correct women and be like, no, say nice things about yourself. Like, this is not an opportunity for you to critique how you look. Like, look at yourself and say things. And we see those patterns, and if we can break those patterns, I say we, in general, but like as individuals, if we can encourage our kids to be more proactive, we're going to not have just a small impact. We're going to have a big impact on future society, right? Definitely. And so I see that same idea where one aspect you realized had a tool for something is shifted in others. Health and wellness for you, your family, your ability for financial independence, lots of different aspects have changed for you. And I think that's so awesome.
For sure. I've loved it's been not an easy journey, but it's been an eye-opening journey and a healing journey in every area, just like meeting you. And now you're my chiropractor, and I get massages and then therapy for not realizing the trauma that I just put a wall up has affected me and my relationships and how they could be better.
Absolutely.
So I've loved it. But it's been hard. Don't get me wrong.
Well, it's work, right? It takes effort.
Yeah, work, effort.
Which is sometimes, when people are looking at starting or trying to figure out new things, it's scary because it does take a lot of work. There's a lot of unknowns out there. But I think that little confidence is when we take charge of a little aspect of our health, it snowballs. Dave Ramsey talks about the snowball, like pay off a little debt first and then roll that into the next debt and the next debt. And it's similar with health, that we can be overwhelmed, especially if we start looking at all our problems are listed out. But if we start one little aspect, help with this oil that helps us sleep better, this oil that helps with our digestion, and then that gives us the confidence to maybe see a naturopath to help with why are you not sleeping? Why are you not digesting? And improve from there. It's worth it work. It's worthwhile work to shift that, I should say.
Yes, I'm right there with you on that one.
Awesome. Well, it was great to have you. Nora, what's a great way for people to connect with you if they want to learn more, want to experience some of your education? Do you have a website, email that's a good way for people to get in touch or see what you're doing?
You bet. I am on Instagram at Oils with Nora. I'm also on Facebook at Oils with Nora. And I'm on have a Gmail that's oilswithnora@gmail.com. And you can always find my number on there and text me. I love doing one-to-one consultations. And I love also to give out a few samples. Like if you are struggling with sleep, I've got a few concoctions. And it's just like if you went to the doctor for allergies, let's try Allegra. Doesn't work? Come back. We'll try something else. Come 5-6 times. We've got different concoctions because your body's not going to be the same as mine. Your chemical makeup's not going to be the same, and your energies, your everything. So, and also brand matters, I would say. Don't get them at TJ Maxx or Best Buy. I mean, you're not going to go find your chiropractor at TJ Maxx or Best Buy either.
Right.
So quality matters, and who teaches you matters. If you drive with me, great. If not, find somebody else with a good quality essential oil if that's a route you want to look into. I love educating and teaching people. That's my specialty. And I've had 6 guinea pigs to test on and a spouse. So
there you go.
We've loved it. It's been a great journey.
And I would say I'm a skeptic. I've always been a little bit skeptical on new things. I've had lots of people talk about oils, and we've used some on kids, but meeting you, definitely, you have that education. You brought me samples of one, Adaptive, I think.
Yep.
Adaptive and what's the immune system one? I'm forgetting.
On Guard.
Those are my 2 favorites. If anyone's looking, Adaptive is a calming. Nora brought over a couple years ago now, I think. She brought over little tiny sample bottles of that. And it was amazing. When I get stressed out, worked up, just a quick little smell of that, and I just feel like everything melts, like all the tension in my shoulders, neck. The On Guard, I've been struggling with allergies since I was born, pretty much. I was taking the allergist at about, 7 or 8 years old. They did all the little poking in the arm things, and they had, what did he tell my parents? We came back for this thing. He said, "Oh yeah, your son is allergic to everything outside, and peanut butter and chocolate." And what was the other one? Tomatoes, And so I used to go to like Pizza Hut and I'd have like cheese pizza with no sauce and, all that sort of stuff. But On Guard makes a big difference for me in that. I get both the little like the new ones, the lozenges, the little roll-on. So those two, and then as a chiropractor, Deep Blue has been huge. I see that with patients, a lot of tension in the shoulders. They put a little Deep Blue on, go to bed, wake up, and feel a lot more relaxed afterwards. So yeah, connect with oil. There we go.
Yeah.
Connect with Nora. I'm trying to put Nora and oils all together there.
I knew what you meant.
Oils with Nora at Gmail or on Instagram or Facebook. She puts a lot of great educational content out, and honestly, it's just very inspiring. I like watching people like yourself take new challenges and improve not just their health, but now you're an advocate for other people. So thanks again for being on here. Great to meet with you.
Anytime. Thank you.